Welcome boys. Okay, in this video we're going to be installing these 4WDKING LED headlight for our 2003 Lincoln Town Car. Oh, this dude right here. So in previous videos I have replaced the halogens with new halogen low beams, and then the high beams with LEDs that are kind of bluish. So these are LEDs, low beam and high beam. They are bright white. Low beam, high beam. So we're going to go ahead and replace them. So I've also covered in other videos how to remove the headlight assemblies, but just in case this is your first video on this town car and you haven't watched the other ones, I'll go ahead and go through the procedure again. So first order of business, we need to remove these 5 deals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll get this plastic cover off. And then we will be able to remove the headlight assembly. Alright boys, next order of business is we need to get 3 bolts off of here and then press this little retainer down and then pull the headlight out. So I think these are 8 millimeters. They are. Boys, I'll get you in here for a closer look now. These were the 3 8 mils. There, and there. This is the electrical connector. So you just press down and pull off. And then this was the other retainer. Right here, you just have to press down on this and then pull. So now that that's out, we'll go ahead and get the back off. Okay boys, and our bulbs are back here behind these cover. There's 5 screws that hold it in. Now on the factory one, these were T20 I believe, Torx that held it in place. In this case, this is an aftermarket one, and those are Phillips. So be prepared to have to use a T20. But not in my case. Okay, now you got 2 options here. Option number 1 is these things are plugged in and you can remove these 2 bolts. On the factory, I believe they're T25 Torx, but again, these are now Phillips, or I believe also an 8 millimeter. We'll take those out of there. Or you can unscrew them and pull them out, like so. These are the LEDs. In this case, positive and negative do matter. So positive is this yellow wire. Hopefully the new ones are nice enough to also list positive and negative for me. That one's out. This one is positive, negative. Establish positive is this yellow wire. So we plug her in. And it looks like it'll go in one of these ways. Yeah, that seems to be in. That should be good. Alright, low beam. Spin that. We can get her out. So in this case, because this is an incandescent, it does not actually advise which is positive, negative. We'll assume the positives is green. Okay, so we unscrew and get this thing out of here. that's in place. Positive, I think, will be that way. So let's try and assume positive goes this way. Does it actually? I don't know. You know what? I done goofed. I done goofed, boys. Okay, so that has to go in. Right, then this. Okay. Now, womp wompity womp 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 womp. Okay, so we have a problem here, boys. This retaining ring is not going to let us get in here with this big fan up in the way. So we're going to have to modify this, it looks like. Okay, boys, modded. What's shorter now? What it used to look like. Long, short. I had spares of these laying around. Alright, so let's put this dude in here. I already have it in place here, my new one, so that's now locked into place. So my bulb shouldn't be all wiggly giggly. Okay, do we go this way then? In turn? Maybe it needs to be a bit shorter, I'm guessing. Okay, boys, take 3 after a second trip to the grinder. They now super short AF. And at this point now, we are going to have to always loosen this in order to get these locking ring guys out of here. Because you ain't going to be able to get them out of here with your fingers. That ship has sailed, crashed into the iceberg, and sank to the bottom of the ocean. So I would recommend then you get some spare ones of those from the junkyard like me. That way you don't do that to your only pair should you ever decide to go back to halogens, and you don't want to have to take this out all the time when you change your bulb. But if you don't care about that, well, I guess you can mangle your current set and leave it. Ah, there we go. Okay. We've established we want to try positive to this green wire guy. Alright, so before we put the cover back on, I suggest we plug this into the car just to make sure that that is in fact positive and that these things work. So, let's do just that. And then so we'll put the cover back on. Okay, so I'll do a quick test real quick, that way you boys will know and won't have to do this part yourselves. Okay, they are both illuminated, so confirmed then the green and yellow are both the positive wires. So I'll go ahead and put the cover back on. Okay, boys, right side's our new LEDs, left side is an incandescent low beam and blue LED high beam. Well, I can already see with the naked eye, and maybe the camera will pick it up, the right side low beam LED is bright AF compared to the incandescent on the left. I also much prefer the bright white on the right high beam as opposed to that blue high beam on the left. So I'll go ahead and get a comparison at night. And then after the nighttime comparison, we'll go ahead and have everything switched to our bright white LEDs, and then you'll be able to, we'll go for a drive, and then you'll be able to compare the before and after. But we'll go ahead and do a couple of flashes to pass just so you can see what it looks like during the day. Okay boys, so out in the field I left this cover off so I can make quick adjustments, and in that second to last clip of driving I had driver's side headlights where the LEDs were oriented left and right, and on the passenger side I left the LEDs oriented up and down, and on the right side you saw I had this weird triangle pattern. The beam looked all jacked up, so I rotated, but not so much on the driver's side, so I rotated these bulbs 90 degrees, and here's what you need to know. So when you look at the screws here, the screws will denote that your guy is where each LED is. So if there's a screw here, there's an LED, screw here, that's the direction it's pointing. Ditto for this side. You may, because this kind of like twists and locks into place on one side or the other, you may have to back these screws out and then rotate this thing 180 degrees. That way it'll lock in place. So if this locks in the left and right position, fine, but if it doesn't, pull this out, rotate it, and then this will then be able to lock in the left and right position. Otherwise it'll lock the wrong direction, and then you won't be able to see anything because it'll be all jacked up. And I showed you at night that you can see in there to see the LEDs. I'll show you what a day shot looks like in the broad daylight, but since we're just inside on the bench, see the LEDs are facing left and right. So not for nothing then, in the town car, the LEDs do not go up and down or you're going to get a crap beam pattern. They need to go left and right. So, alright, now that we've got that, I'll go ahead and show you the day shot of what it looks like, and then we'll wrap it up. And just for a better view in broad daylight, you can see the LEDs are facing left and right. High beam, low beam, both sides. On the town car, that's how you have to orient them to get a decent beam pattern, free of those weird triangles. Okay boys, so in conclusion, and this is my final opinions, right out of the gate I was not a fan because I didn't have the light beam oriented properly, but once I figured out the mystery to that and I was like, oh, the LEDs have to be on the left and the right, not the top and the bottom, we get a proper beam pattern without these weird triangles. So don't pull a Vitaly Kaufman and wonder why you can't get the low beams in. So now you know, this guy right here, you need to shave it down. And not just this side to where it's flush here, you need to go down even further so that way your low beam bulb will be able to fit past this. Because even if you take that off and then try to slide it in here, it's just going to bang into there. So keep that in mind. And then the other thing to note is, in addition to shaving this and then facing left and right, remember the low beam, you may have to take that plastic ring that's in there and rotate it in order to make sure that it's in the proper left and right orientation. And then the high beam actually does kind of spin in this little, well, that thing I just showed you where you can rotate that collar a little. If it rotates, lock it in place, go all the way to the right to the lock position, and if it's up and down or not perfectly left and right, just rotate it slightly while it's locked, and then get it perfectly left and right. And then at that point, they do work well. And the ones I'm using to show you this are not the ones that are in the car. See, these are the LEDs I had in before that made that really weird blue light for the high beams. As you can see, there's an LED on each corner. So this, it didn't matter how I put it in because there was an up, down, left, and right to it. But not so much on these guys. So, alrighty. I think that will conclude our video. It does get my seal of approval now that I know what I'm doing, and hopefully after you guys watch this, you won't have to go through any of that same problem. You'll know right off the get-go you either need to cut these down or get some spares and cut those down if you want to keep these for your regular incandescent bulbs, should you ever decide to switch back to it. And then also just be prepared to sit there and get them into the perfect left and right orientation before you go putting it all back together and then getting weird triangle shaped patterns and wondering what the hell happened. And then, so now you won't have those problems. Shave this down, rotate until they're perfectly left and right, reinstall them, and then you're off to the races. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Again, thanks to Panzer Platform for sending me those LEDs to review in the town car. And I'll catch you boys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.